Neetu ma'am, you can start now, please.
Okay. Okay, sir, just wait. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to Director Sir, Maninder Sir, fellow colleagues, and all the participants. I, along with Dr. Monica, welcome you all on the second day of FGP on evolutionary trends in IoT, blockchain, and networks. Today, in the first session, we have the very renowned professor of Thapar University, Dr. Maninder Singh, head of the Department of Computer Science. So, before starting that, director sir is there, Monica ma'am?
Ma'am, he will join shortly because he is in the meeting, urgent meeting.
No issues. Then we'll start the brief profile of sir. So, Maninder sir, Dr. Maninder received his bachelor's degree from Pune University and holds a master's degree with honors in software engineering from Thapar Institute of Engineering and Technology. He also did his doctorate degree with Thapar University. He joined Thapar University as a lecturer. His strongholds is in the practical to know how to computer networks and securities. He is one of the roll of honor at EC Council USA, being certified as ethical hacking, security analyst, and licensed penetration tester. Dr. Singh has successfully completed many consultancy projects, including network auditing and penetration testing for renowned national banks and corporates. Dr. Singh has many research publications in reputed SCI high-impact journals. His research interest includes network security, grid computing, secure coding, and a strong third pillar for open community. Dr. Singh guided 11 PhD and 51 master's degree. He is currently supervising 4 PhD candidates in the area of network security and secure coding. Dr. Singh, being a captive author, has a long list of expert lectures delivery at renowned institutes and corporates. Dr. Singh is the senior member of IEEE, senior member of ACM, and life members of Computer Society of India. He has been volunteering his services for network security community as a reviewer and project judge for IEEE design contests. Apart from teaching, he held many strategic positions in and outside of Thapar University campus. Currently, he is heading Computer Science and Engineering Department and Center of Information and Technology Management, responsible for University Network, ERP, IT strategy, planning, deployment, and management. I welcome you, sir, on the behalf of AIIT. I welcome you again. Now, it's all up to you, sir.
Thank you, Neetu.
Thank you very much, sir.
First of all, I thank Dr. Monica, Neetu ji, and Dr. Ajay Rana, a close friend of mine. So we have been working with each other since now almost 20 years. So see, most of my talks basically revolve around not just showcasing the PPT. That's why I haven't done so as far. So I need to have some kind of interactivity, which I don't think it's possible at this point of time, but I am trying my best so that the people who are listening can get involved. Most of the time in these kind of webinars, what happens, the people join in and make themselves mute and go away and come back after some time. I don't want that to happen. So I have introduced some kind of interactivity things here in my speech. So what I want from each and everybody, whenever a particular poll or particular survey kind of stuff happens, kindly do response by taking your mobile devices with you, and then you can answer the queries. See, at this point of time, it's a pretty hard time across the world, especially for the teaching fraternity. The reason being, all of you know, it's not possible to see face to face our students and deliver lectures to them. But nevertheless, we all of us have been listening to the news all around, and the people are saying war heroes are like our doctors, our policemen, and all. But if you look at the backdrop, real war heroes are the computing people. We are talking at this point of time using this online technology, and who is making that available to us? These people who are working 24/7 at the back, the people from the electricity department giving us, energizing our devices, and the people from the networking giving us this whole scenario where wherever you are sitting, still you are in close contact with the people in and around. And if you look at the data which is being supplied, and if you do a survey around the data, you will find the overall communication companies which were providing this kind of facility, like we are utilizing Zoom at this point of time. So their stock sharing, their competitiveness with other people have gone wild. So we need to take care about this. That's why I've chosen a topic of the network progression, that what has happened in the networking. From that per se, I just want to first of launch a particular query to you people. You answer that, and then we are good to go with the webinar. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a screen sharing first of all with you. Okay. So I wish everybody should participate with this. So if you look in here, I'm just presenting this. Now you can go to menti.com on your mobile phones and give me answer of this query. And the code is written at the top, 884207. So you can give this code. So if you open up menti.com on your mobile phone, so this will ask you a code and give this code. Then you will be able to answer this query. So meanwhile, the people answer. So I'll wait for some time, because at this point of time, if I can see from my screen, there are 35 participants in this particular webinar at this point of time. So let's see how many people join in and answer this, because the whole of the webinar from now onward depends upon this question. So it is how many networks you see when you try to connect to your Wi-Fi. So if you people are using Windows, if you go down, so you will see that there is a icon, network icon. So when you click on that icon, it will show you a list of how many networks are available. So I want answer only. So in digits, you give answer. I don't know what S means here. Somebody has typed S. So somebody said that he is able to see 6 networks. Good. So I want everybody to answer it so that we can conclude some constructive thing out of it. And that can only happen with your responses. And I don't think it's hard to answer. So
Also to type that.
Anji?
Sir, may I answer, or I have to type that?
Yeah, please, anybody. We need just answers. We need to know what.
There are 8 networks on my mobile phone.
Yeah, please go ahead and tell us.
8 is my answer, sir.
You can type in using menti.com and give this answer. Only 5 people have responded so far. 6 people. Somebody written word. I don't know. This lecture has gone to some kids also.
No,
Don't
sir.
understand the question and just answer anything. See, I am asking about how many networks. So networks cannot be word here.
Yeah.
And if somebody has answered 0, that means he is not connected to internet. Then how you can answer 0?
Someone write here 25, sir.
Yeah, it's okay. If you are seeing 25, it's good. You can write 25. See, you don't have to answer on a chat. You have to answer on menti.com so that the people can see what you have answered. So it should come up on the screen. Deepak sir, you can take your mobile and menti.com, give this code and you will be able to answer.
Menti.com.
Yeah, www.menti.com.
It says site is not reachable.
MENTI, menti.com, madam.
MENTI. Okay. I have written to okay. Okay. Yes. Right. 8. Or should I write 08? Submit. Uh-oh. So it says code 8 could not found. Please try again.
No, ma'am, code is written here. If you look at the top, 884207. So give the code, then you will be able to answer.
Okay. 884206. Fine. Submitted, sir.
Now, though we have got these 14 people who have replied out of whatever the number is, but if you can see this number, if you are kind of on an airport or some open network, you will see n number of these networks available to you. Now, what basically that means the people in and around me in that particular area, because Wi-Fi is having a certain kind of a radius. Within this radius, you will be able to talk to the people. So those networks will be visible to you. And these networks actually, if you look at the analogy of a network to a Wi-Fi network and a wired network, you see the bandwidth which is being given by a Wi-Fi network at this point in time is pretty less as compared to a network which is a wired network. So when we are talking about progression, state of the art progression in the network, so we need to understand few things here before we can have anything else talked about. So let's start with so this was the first thing which I wanted to ask you people and give me. Now we are going to start with something which is called digital independence. Okay, so we need to concentrate on this part at this point of time. Everybody knows that we got independence in 1947. But what has happened to our digital independence? Are we digitally independent? At this point of time, if you look in, the people were saying 8 networks, somebody was saying 6 networks, somebody was saying 0 network, though the answer was wrong, but still whosoever was answered something. Now, can that bandwidth, whichever the bandwidth is available to you, the same kind of bandwidth available to me or to my other partner? No, it's not like that. That means digitally we are kind of still in a stage where we cannot have each and everybody connecting with the same kind of network presence. And if that happens, then we'll be able to deliver everything which we wish to, even from a face-to-face as compared to the online education. So what we want in case of a digital independence, we want digital independence from the client platform. You might be using Chrome, I might be using Edge, or Monica might be using Firefox. So I need independence from client platform. I don't need to get bounded by some kind of a system that only on this system this particular application will come. So I need something and some kind of agnostic approach, that whatever kind of network I am using, and I am using any kind of client, but still I am able to access the services. So independence from the client platform, independence from the server platform. It doesn't mind to me what kind of server I am accessing. So it's in the cloud, some kind of server is in the cloud, and I wish to access that server. Then independence from the application, what kind of an application I am utilizing on my system. Independence from the network, whether I'm using Wi-Fi, I'm using WiMAX, or I'm using wired network, what kind of network. So we need independence from the age of technology. Whatever happens, why can't I use back of my refrigerator in order to access any kind of internet? So why I need to have a laptop with me, or I need to have a tab with me? I can have any surface, anything which can get projected even on this wall. So if something get projected on this wall, I'll be able to surf internet and do something there. So more so ever, what I'm trying to say here, I don't need to get dependent upon the technology. And that is what basically digital independence will mean. Independence from the software conflicts. At this point of time, if you see, some of us may have Zoom 4.0, some of us may have Zoom 4.5, though the Zoom has said that from June 30th onward, your Zoom client will get updated automatically and you will have 5.05 version which gets installed. So that means there is a software conflict which will happen. I might have created a file today and I send that file to you. And that file may not get open on your system because of the software conflict. You may have a lower version number than what I am utilizing. So there is a dependency upon that particular piece of a software. So I don't want that to happen. I want independence from the software conflicts. Then independence from the version number. So all of us from computer science would know that at this point of time, if I'm utilizing Windows 10, it has a very different kind of a security posture as compared to Windows 7 or as compared to Windows XP or as compared to Windows 98. So if the version of a software changes or an application version changes, it does not mean that I need to get binded to a particular version. So we need digital independence out of it. So if you look at these 6-7 questions which I posed here, from which we need to get independence, if all of these things happen, then we can say that we have achieved the state of art in network presence. And is that true? Is it possible? Does it happening? Or all the people around the world whosoever an access to the network system, are they enjoying this kind of independence? If you ask me, yes, it is possible. At this point of time, we are in an era where the independence from all these things can happen. Let's go back almost 10, if I say so, 20-30 years back, what was happening. So this was basically the application architecture soup, if you look at this here. So if you go to the era where when we used to use mainframes, so I am talking about 60s, late 60s, we used to have mainframe computers. Now, when we are talking about mainframe computers, what was happening? The UI, user interface, logic, and data, everything was on the server. It was on the mainframe. And how we used to access that mainframe? We used to access the mainframe from the terminal. So we used to have a console, and from the console, we used to access this mainframe. And the console was using a protocol called at that point of time 3270. And this was a text kind of a protocol. It can only transfer a text using a wire. So networking was not available at that point of time. Only through your serial cable and parallel cable, the communication was happening. So I was utilizing 3270 as a protocol, and this was the convention at in the era of mainframes. Then we just went further ahead. After a decade or 1.5 decade back from the mainframe, when the Windows got introduced, the people started, and the network was also came up, the people started to use some kind of architecture which was called two-tier client-server architecture. So here you have two-tier. I used to have a PC. By this point of time, the people had Windows operating system coming into the market. Previously in the mainframes, if you look at, we have a Unix operating system. Now, by the time the PC became very popular, so we used to have a Windows operating system sitting on PC. So this is how that wave has happened. Now, when the PC has something, that means the user interface is with me, logic can sit on my system, and only the data will reside on a server. Now, if I have to access the data, I'll be utilizing IP as a protocol. So internet protocol will be used if I want to access. So you see the middle layer, what we are talking about. Middle layer is where the protocol change is happening, and by virtue of those protocols, because now more and more bandwidth is available. So what has happened, the user logic and user interface and logic got pushed to the PC. Now think of a scenario. If I develop a desktop application and I have sold that application to 100 clients, and I come up with a new version of a client, what will happen? All these 100 clients need to update their system individually. Okay, so that means each and everybody has to do the homework in order to update his or her system, because it is not centralized. Okay? So then came the third era. It is called a 3-tier client server architecture. So if I need to make some change in the logic, let's, for example, at this point of time, let's say the income tax slab, which is being ascertained on the fraternity in India, ranges from 10%, 20%, 30% based on how much salary you are going to get or how much earning you have from a particular business. So in that case, what happens if I have a logic which is given to the client system, and if I want to implement some change in the slab, for example, finance minister says that now this will be the slab from 5 lakh to 10 lakh, this much amount of tax is to be calculated. And I have a financial application developed by me, which I have sold to the people. So in that case, what will happen if every machine has a different logic? So I have to mandatorily update these systems on those individual machines before I can get the new version. So rather than adopting that kind of a stuff, what we did, we adopted a 3-tier client server model. In that, what happened, the logic again got pushed back to the server. Only the user interface will be with me as a client device, but the logic and data will be on the servers. Now, if a logic and data sits on a server, I need to access logic and data. That means I need more bandwidth. Okay. So when we are utilizing this 3-tier architecture, and if the logic is sitting on some server and data is sitting on some other server, so both the server connectivity should have a better bandwidth connectivity with my system. So now, having said that, let's say I got a developed application in English language. Okay, now I want to change it to Punjabi, or I want to change it to Hindi. I just want to change the user interface into Hindi and Punjabi. Rest of the thing, the logic and data will remain same. Just think of an Aadhaar card application. I want to update my Aadhaar card details. And I want each and every customer, each and every user should be able to do it on his own. Even on his cell phone, he should have an interface and he will be able to change his Aadhaar card settings and all. Now, how that can be done, how that is achievable? In that case, what will happen? We cannot afford to give a user interface to the user. The reason being, if I give that user interface to the user will be binded. So he will not be independent out of this independence from user interface. So what will happen if I have an application or an app installed on my mobile phone, and that app is in English, unless until I install it in Hindi, I'll not be able to converse. And you know how much of our population, how many languages are spoken in India. So if I have Aadhaar kind of card, kind of an application sitting on my mobile phone, I need to give access to the user in their native language. Only English cannot help. In that case, what will happen? I want everything again pushed back to the server. So now we are in an era where we say this is web-based computing. So we call it as web-based computing. Now in web-based computing, what has happened? There is no, I can utilize it on my cell phone. I can utilize on my tab. I can access internet from any kind of a device these days. Okay, so I need to have only the accessibility of browser on the device. And the protocol for accessing the user interface, logic and data, which now sits on a server, is to be done by virtue of what? HTTP protocol. So I have a HTTP protocol and everything is now sitting on a server. So I have a YouTube channel. I want to access video. I want to get a streaming video from there. I need only a browser. And that browser can be on my system. That browser can be on my mobile phone. That browser can be on my tab, whatever kind of interface. So we have actually, if you look at this picture more seriously, actually we have traveled across the decades of our journey, starting from 60s till now in 2020. And if you look at the journey from the first particular picture to the last picture, you can see the differences which has happened. Now these differences, if you look at these differences, these mainframe systems from this web systems, if you look at this, user interface, logic, data, user interface, logic, data, now both are same. That means we have traveled across the timeline of computing for almost 40 years, more than that even. But what has happened? Again, we have pushed everything back to the servers. Now, if everything is on the server, I need to have a greatest of bandwidth availability to me in order to have access. Now, all of us at this point of time are utilizing Netflix and Prime TV and all. All those things do require a heavy bandwidth accessibility by your system. So that means progression in the network has happened from 3270 kind of a protocol to the protocol which is now being utilized in order to have accessibility from the servers. Okay, so I'll just pause a bit here, and I have another kind of interesting quiz for you people, which you can answer on again on menti.com. I'll give you a new code, and then we'll spend 5-10 minutes on that, and then come back and continue with the session. Okay, so I'm just sharing another screen with you. This is where we had left. So I'll just escape out of it. Now I'm just launching a new quiz for you. Now the code has changed. Kindly mind this. So you go to menti.com and give this code now, please. And I want to have answers of these 2-3 questions before we can discuss something very interesting. So kindly go to menti.com and use this code 477526. So we know we have a processor on a system, on your laptop, on your cell phones. Everybody knows there is a processor. And this processor has cores nowadays. Everybody from computer science stream should understand what cores are. Okay. And I hope the audience, which is for this particular seminar, because webinar, so it is being said this is for kind of a FDP. So I am expecting people to know what the cores mean. Okay, so how many cores does your machine's processor has? So I need answers. Again, I need a number, and kindly type in that number as your answer. Do not give me any kind of a text. I need number. It cannot be 5 core. 5 core kabhi nahi hoti dost. Cores are always in a even number. Somebody has said how to check. Go to your task manager. I'll show you how to check this, okay? So we'll come back to this. You can check this by virtue of doing this. A simple, go to your task manager. Go to the performance tab. In the performance tab, you will see what kind of a processor you are using and how many cores it has. If you look in this here, okay, you can see this.
Yes, sir, it's 4.
At this point in time, my machine has 4 cores and it has 8 logical processors. And it is i7 processor at the top in the right side. If you look, this is the i7 processor running at 1.30 gigahertz. So this is the cores. So you can check your core and reply back to me on that menti.com. Okay, so I'll just come back to that screen. So at this point of time, if I can see, there are 4 panelists, so there are 62 participants. That means 58 people. I need at least 60 answers from your side here. Yeah? So I only 10 answers at this point of time.
So many people have written the answer on the chat box.
There's no need to write on chat box. It's written here. Can you see my screen?
I have mentioned. I again
If you
go
can
to
go to this www.menti.com using your mobile, using your laptop, whatever kind of device, whatever kind of browser you have, it is totally digital independence. Okay, so you go to menti.com and give this code 477526 and answer the query.
I have instructed, sir. Code is this, and then type your answer. So could the number be in the odd one also, 3 or 5? There's the odd figure.
Usually it's not like that, madam. It's always even number. Because if I have one processor, I will have, if it's a dual core, it starts from two cores.
Right,
Then
sir.
we can have 4 cores, 6 cores, 8 cores,
Right, sir.
like that. Somebody has written 98 core. I don't know what kind of machine this guy is using.
Maybe we got confused with another thing.
I don't know, but it's a big thing. If you have these many cores, kindly give that device to me. Yeah, I would love to work on this kind of a system. Now it's interesting to see if you see at the answers which the people have given, you see the 4 is very predominant. Okay, so that means
I have written that 4.
most of the people have given answer 4.
Okay.
That's why it's predominant. So it shows 4. Okay, so
Okay.
now the thing is like this.
These colors show some significance, sir.
No, these are just answers. Only when it goes, the size of that particular number will tell you how many people are.
Broader of 4. 4 sizes more broader than 2, 3, 5.
Yes. That's why it's 4. The 4 is most of the people have answered 4.
Okay. And on the second number, the people answered for 2.
Yes.
I thought. Okay.
Yes. Now, if you look at this number, this is very interesting. Just keep in mind 4 and 2. Okay. Rest
Yes.
we can, because these are not outliers. Rest may be outliers. If somebody says I have 3 as a core, it is outlier. If somebody says 98, that is also outlier. So
Big outlier.
just keep this 4 and 2 in mind, and we'll go to the next question. Okay. So I'm
Yeah.
just stopping this stuff and going to the next question. Now the question is how much RAM your system has in GB.
With the same code, sir. 4775.
With the same code. This is the next question there only. So if you have kept your screen open, kindly keep the screen open. So this will be the second question which will automatically pop up. Now the people have learned how to answer. Good.
Yeah.
Thank
Yes.
you. So it takes some time. Apologies from my side. I was too quick to conclude that the people don't know how to answer. Sorry. Okay. Quickly answer this here. Only 6 answers are this. And whosoever has answered 4 GB RAM, ये गलत है यार. GB is in capital letter. Okay. This is a gigabyte, not bit. Gig bit नहीं है वो. Okay, good. So that means at this point of time, you can conclude most of the people have 8 GB RAM on their system.
Right. Right.
Just keep this in mind. Previously, we had core how many? 4 and 2. And now here, if you look at, there's 8 and 16, and somebody has 64. Oh, wow. That's a big system. So in the chat box, this guy can give me his email ID. Who has 64 accessing just it for Zoom session? Huh? Zoom session के लिए 64 gig की machine use कर रहे हो? Great यार. Fantastic. Okay, so let's move to the next question. So keep these things in mind. It's very critical for discussing something very important. Okay, let's go to the next question. Yeah, you join in. Yeah, these are the players. Actually, this is a quiz which we are going to start. Okay, and this quiz has only one question. ज़्यादा नहीं है. अपना अपना icon याद करिएगा. Who you are. So you can go to www.menti.com and give this code. Whosoever hasn't joined at this point of time, kindly do this. This is how we can bring interactivity in the webinars. There are two participants who have raised the hands. Can you see Neetu and ask what is their query?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. I can see.
You can allow them to speak.
Muzammil sir, can you allow them to speak one by one?
Deepti Sinha and Yogesh Gupta. Ask your query in chat box.
No, Yogesh, you can talk here. I have made you. You can ask your question, Yogesh. Unmute yourself and ask your question.
Mr. Yogesh is there? Yogesh?
Yeah, he's there. I have allowed him to speak, but he is not.
Actually, rights are not given to him. I have to talk to IT support. Muzammil sir, are you there?
Ma'am, sir is already given him the permission for unmute his
To
sir.
speak, okay. Okay, fine. Yogesh Gupta sir, you can continue, you can speak.
Maybe by
The
mistake.
mic is working.
I think maybe by mistake he has raised his hand.
Okay.
And
Okay,
Dr.
no problem. No problem. Let's start the quiz. Okay. So I am
Dr.
starting the quiz.
Deepti Sinha also raised her hand. Deepti Sinha? No question.
Okay,
Okay, sir. We can continue.
let's start the quiz.
Yes, sir.
Now we have two things in mind. Okay, the faster will get the best answer. जल्दी जल्दी बता दीजिए. How many cores do you think the top one machine in the world would have?
So we have to choose the number.
Yeah. Now, if you see, if you look at this, because there was time left for this only. Actually, I didn't knew the people haven't used this kind of a tool prior to this webinar. If I would have known that, I could have kept some more time for you people to answer. Okay, but we can conclude from these 10 answers. There's something interesting which has come up. The top number one machine in the world would have how many cores? We already know. I showcase your machine that you have answered something. And there is one person who has written that the top machine would have near about 20 lakh cores. If you look at this and you want an answer from my side, I can show you the answer. Okay, I will show you the answer for the top machine in the world. And also we'll see that which machine has that kind of machine which is the top in the world has how much RAM it would have. Okay, so we'll just close this stuff and I'll share another screen with you. Now you look at this screen. So this is top500.org. Okay, this is top500.org. This site gives you the list of top 500 machines in the world. Okay, why I am saying so? So we need to understand वो कैसी machine होगी which has this much of capability and what that machine would be doing. As a computer scientist, we should be able to answer. We should not stuck with these kind of if a question is being asked that how many cores do you think a particular machine would have, then you should be able to answer, because that machine would be doing something very interesting. So if we go into this, this is the top machine in the world, and this machine name is Summit. And this is in United States. Now I'm going to show you very interesting figures here. You can see how many cores this machine has. $24,14,592 cores. Now, can you imagine? I've shown you my machine, which has 4 cores. I've seen the answers from you people where you were saying there was one guy who said 98. So you can think of he has a machine with 98 cores. That's a work alcoholic machine. Now, if a machine has 24,14,592 cores, what this machine would be doing? You can think of. Okay. Now let's just click on this and see the more details about this. How much RAM this machine has. $28,01,664 GB. And which was the maximum when we answered? 64 GB. And most of us has a machine which has 8 GB RAM, 8 or 16 GB. Now you think of what kind of a machine these would be. And if you look at how these machines would be connected to each other, what kind of a network they would have. That is a kind of a thought process which should go in your mind in order to understand what is happening in this world. So we already know there's a big data center. There are the big machines which are sitting on those in these data centers. What these machines would be doing with such a huge number of cores and with such a huge amount of RAM. So definitely these machines, this is not just a single machine. There will be a cluster of machines which will be configured as a single machine, and that machine will be called as by a name at this point of time. This is called Summit. IBM Power System AC922. Now, this is very interesting. And then how they are getting connected? Obviously, they cannot get connected with our Wi-Fi, which has a 100 Mbps max bandwidth availability. Or they will not be getting connected with the wired connectivity, which our desktop and workstation machines have, which gives us a maximum of 1 Gbps connectivity. So if a processor is such a strong processor, and if it has so much of RAM, and if I want to talk to this machine, so obviously there is not a single user who will be talking to this machine. This is $1 million machine. This is not a machine which is to be purchased by somebody. But this machine is available and you can work on this machine by virtue of having connectivity to this machine. So if there are hundreds and thousands of people across the world hooking onto this system, so this system should have a capability to give that kind of a networking to the users which are getting connected to this machine. And thus, that's what was the crux of my talk today. I wanted to talk about what kind of the network connectivity these machines would have. So in this case, if you pay attention on this particular line which says interconnect, it is using a Mellanox EDR InfiniBand. Now this InfiniBand EDR kind of connectivity will give you a network connectivity in the 100 gigabytes per second. 40 gigabytes per second. Our data center in Thapar Institute of Engineering and Technology at this point of time has a backbone of 40 Gbps. Now I cannot connect these machines just by putting a RJ45 or connector into a switch and I say, let's work on this machine. So we need to have a very different kind of a progression in the network in order to suffice the requirement which the users have from this kind of a powerhouse machines. Okay, so I urge you people, you can visit this top 500, and there's another website which is available here, which is say the Green 500. The Green 500 is the list of the machines, the top machine which is green, because now previously we used to have two parameters basically in computing for accessing the efficacy of an algorithm. We used to say time complexity and space complexity. Okay, so how much space it will take and how much time it is going to take in order to get executed a particular program. Now the paradigm has changed. Now the people don't worry about how much space, because space is ample. Even at this point of time, if you look at the system which I go to the market and purchase, it will have 1 TB of hard disk. It will have 500 GB of your SSD. So those kind of storage devices are available. So the efficacy of algorithm is now being tested, how much energy this algorithm can save, because running a one data center with energy, not energy efficient, kind a huge bill, electricity bill. If we want to power our data centers and we want to get things done properly, so we need to know what are these Green 500. So we need to know the efficacy of an algorithm based on third parameter, which is called power aware computing. Whether your algorithm is power aware, would it be able to give me the best of the consumption parameters of an electricity? So if you are good at that, you can go to any data center and prove your metal there. The things which are required, and this is how the progression has happened from our Wi-Fi to Bluetooth to all those kind of devices. Now we have Internet of Things coming, where you will have IPv6 coming up. So all those things. And another very interesting thing which everybody, I want everybody to visit this particular website, which is called submarine cables. How the world is getting connected. Okay, so if you look at this here, you see these wires. You can see these wires. Let's see our India. You look at this. This is how the whole internet is spread across the world. There are only two methods by virtue of which we can access internet. Either we can go to the satellite and satellite will send the signal back, but that will add on latency for pumping the data onto the satellite and coming back. Okay, so we can utilize something which is called undersea cable. Now undersea cables, if you look at this submarine cable map, you see the whole world is connected through undersea cables. And this is the interesting part of networking. If I let me click on one of these links. Okay, so I have just clicked on one of these, and you see this part here. This cable is connecting. This cable is connecting. It is from Ireland to Japan, and this is called Flag Europe Asia Link. We call it as FEA link. And these all are landing stations. So in India, the landing station is here, which is in Mumbai. So there's a landing station for this particular cable. Now this is undersea cable, which is allowing me to spread my word across from one part of the world to another part of the world with the fastest of communication possible. Because this is the optical fiber, it will give me the lesser latency as compared to other kind of links. Now, if you look in some details here, it is 28,000 kilometer long cable. And in India, this is the landing station in India. So this is how the whole world is getting connected. And this is all being done with the help of networking. So if you have a better connectivity, And this, in this kind of an era where we need a better connectivity, the network is at the backbone. Okay. So this is what I have to say for today's lecture. So I want the people to have, if they have any queries, we have another 5-10 minutes remaining for this talk to get finished. So if they have any queries, I am here to answer. So Madam Neetu, you can moderate the questions if there are any questions.
Yes, sir, I'm searching for the question. Actually, sir, I don't found any query, but excellent session, awesome experience, really interactive session, very good session. Lots of praise I have found here.
No, but I urge people, if they have any query, you can ask, please, because that brings more interactivity and we can allow you to speak. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so
No,
much
sir.
for kind words like excellent session and all. But still, if you have, there is one query which has come up, madam. If you
Sir,
please.
from Priyanka Singh.
Priyanka says, sir, what kind of cables do we use for undersea communication and what material?
Of
Excellent question. See, these kind of curiosity is what I wanted to arouse. Okay. So if this kind of curiosity has arose in your mind, so definitely this is an optical fiber cable. And this optical fiber cable is shielded. So this cable is shielded, and this cable can have all the load of tons and tons of water because it is at the bed level. It's a seabed level. So this is how the cable is at seabed level, and there's tons and tons of pressure from the water, which is being controlled by this particular cable. Good morning, Rana sir.
Raji, Sat Sri Akal.
Sat Sri Akal, sir. Thank you so much.
Sir, it's our honor. I am waiting for my moderator. So, according to her direction, so that I work according, I listen you many times. They include me as a member, not as a panelist. They are very, very brilliant persons. They include me as a member. I am silently, there's no question, but I am waiting for my questions. How is it possible that I am not asked anything?
No, you go ahead, sir.
So, over to Dr. Monica, please, and Dr. Neetu.
I, on behalf of Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, first would like to welcome our director, sir, as we have already welcomed Dr. Maninder Singh, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. Actually, QA session was going on, so we were continuing with that only. Is there any question from the audience side they can ask?
Yes, ma'am. There is one question that is from Chetan Rani. Sir, can I take the question?
Yeah, please go ahead.
The question is, sir, where in India the cable joins 5 points from there? How within India these work through Wi-Fi or cables?
Okay. See, madam, I told you there are two ways to get connected to the world. Either you will use a satellite link or you will use an under ocean cable. Now, these under ocean cables obviously will have a landing point at the ports. So we have a landing point in Chennai, we have a landing point in Mumbai, so we have a landing point in Trichy. So these are the landing points where we will have network operation centers. And these network operation centers and then connected to the POPs, which are called ISP POPs. This is point of presence for ISP. So let's say I have taken a connection from Airtel or Vodafone or Jio. So what happens, these network operation points will give the accessibility to the POPs. POPs will give FTTT to TTH to my house, or they will give a broadband connectivity to my house, and I will have my own router, and this router will enact as then giving accessibility to Wi-Fi of my house. So this is how you are connected. So if you trace it, so you are getting connected to your access point is getting connected to your gateway is getting connected to your POP is getting connected to NOC is getting connected to the another landing point in some other country, and this is how you're going to traverse back and reach the destination.
So there's no question so far, so I invite...
I'm sorry to interrupt you, there is one more question.
One more question?
Just I've seen on the screen.
Okay.
QA session.
Okay. So, sir,
Dr. Monica, with your permission, can I say something? So,
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. Over to you, sir.
thank you. And on behalf of Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan, our founder president, on behalf of our president, Dr. Atul Chauhan, on behalf of the Vice Chancellor of AUP, Dr. Maninder Singh, and on behalf of our department AIT, we welcome you all. We welcome you. Sir, you are very so kind that there is no, I think, year or 2 year association with you, but you are very humble, very polite, and very knowledgeable person. Today, I share the one moment with all of my colleagues, the faculty members, those who are present here. And why I am here, there's a few person on the globe, on the earth, where I respect a lot. Where I always remember the person who take care a lot with other person. I know the days when me and Dr. Maninder Singh, when both were young. I think I am not young, but Dr. Maninder Singh is still young.
Yeah, young.
So when me and Dr. Maninder Singh, he is a very brilliant professional at that time. And when me and Dr. Maninder Singh, with the one opportunity to share the room in the Bangalore, and the one FDP that was taken by Sun Microsystem. Then I share the room, and in the same night, I find one person who with me for last, I think, more than 18 years back. That story is about 18 years back. Then I see the person, he is a so religious person, he is a so humble person. But unfortunately, me and Dr. Maninder Singh, I was sitting on the lab on the same side to side. I'm not the technical so expert, but Dr. Maninder Singh always eager to learn a lot of things. Then I said, sir, ye mere se nahi hoga. Then Dr. Maninder Singh said, oh, tusi gal na kar. Tusi utte aaram de baith ja aur sade naal chhod de. I find that why that person helped me. Either that person is not an ordinary person. I see in my life two persons, Dr. Maninder Singh and Dr. Satish Shant, and one of my colleague, PhD colleague, Dr. Parveen Chandra. I remember these three persons, those who are very humble, those who are always ready to guide person time to time. Sir, I learned a lot of things from you, lot of things from about your knowledge, your humbleness, and how great you are. I know that there's a one day comes, bolte na apna time aayega. I know that you are the one of the persons in the education fraternity. Yes, you are right now, but I'm pray to God that there's a one day when my elder brother, when my brother, the three persons on the earth, Dr. Parveen Chandra, Dr. Satish Shant, and sir, you, I always said all my faculty members, those who are present here, if they write a single draft paper, if they write one draft, and I challenge that the IEEE, I challenge the Springers or any other publisher, they are not reject their work. I know that. I know the delivery of these persons. Second moment is that how Dr. Maninder Singh was busy. Why I share this story with you? My dear friend, I was so lucky that I find Dr. Maninder Singh 18 years back when I have attended one session again in Thapar. First time I received the email from Dr. Maninder Singh ji. Why that persons have not changed his mind from day one to this today, in fact. I request you all, my dear colleagues, you always find lot of friends, thousands of friends in your life, 10,000, 15,000 members in your LinkedIn and Facebook, 5,000 members plus on your Facebook. Lot of persons follow your on Twitters and LinkedIn account. But those who are the real friends, those who are real path torch bearer, those who are take care about you, you will find very, very few of them. These are the persons, those who always said, Dr. Rana, we are not bothered about your present. We are not bothered about your past, but please call me at any time. We are ready to help you. And sir, me and my family, I put my both hands together. You are really a charming personality. When I visit Thapar many times, how busy he is with many assignments. He cancel all his meetings. He always take care about me. Why? He is the head. He is the director level. He is the regional head of this entire things. My dear friends, I request you all, please find few persons in your life, those who are the take care about you, those who are always your well-wishers. And sir, there is not a single day in my life when I am not pray to God to give the strength of my all near and dear. And sir, you are one of them. I always pray to God to give his blessings to Dr. Maninder Singh and his family. With MAT, sir, Dr. Monica approached to me, sir, एक बहुत brilliant आदमी चाहिए. कैसे करें? Because the panel is more. Then I said, there's the one brilliant person is there. Then again, ma'am, gone through about your profile and a bit update to me, sir, वो नहीं आएंगे. मैंने कहा, why? Sir, he is very big person. I think he has no time. मैंने कहा, ma'am, you only give my name to Dr. Maninder Singh. कि sir, Dr. Rana ने नाम दिया. And I promise, Dr. Singh का अगर उस दिन कोई family commitment नहीं होगा, because I know that Dr. Singh how bonding with respect to their colleagues, Dr. Singh कभी मना नहीं करें. Dr. Singh, on behalf of entire our management of MAT, sir, we are so thankful to you that you come here on this platform, share your words, share your knowledge. And me and my all family always need your blessings. I pray to Vai Guruji. I pray to all my faculty members, those who are present here. If you learn only 5% from Dr. Maninder Singh, I promise, when this 24-hour changed my entire life, why not about you? You identify the talent which is near to you. You identify the persons, those who love you a lot, without any selfishness, without any achievements, without any expectations from you. Identify at least 2 or 3 persons. So if in this panel, about this entire, those who persons from the FDP around, we are in 3-digit persons across the globe. Those who are part of this FDP, you will find at least 2 or 3 persons. That is the point number 1. So if I take all these points with Dr. Maninder Singh, Dr. Inder with Cheena madam, and there's the one person, Dr. Seema Baba ma'am. There's a less interaction with the Professor Seema Baba ma'am for mine. But I say there's the one person, Salaria Sahab. During my college days, I read the book Salaria Sahab, very much data structure using C. But when the first interaction with Dr. Salaria, I feel that why I'm not touch his feet. But at that time, and some protocol is there. Then Dr. Salaria said, okay, who is Dr. Ajay Rana? मैं कहा ये क्या हो गया? मैं सोच रहा हूँ मैं जाऊँ भगवान के पास, वो खुद ही आ गए कि मेरे को जरूर गले लगाना है. मैं सर क्या हुआ? बोलते बहुत सुना है. So मेरा उनसे ज्यादा इंटरेक्शन नहीं हुआ. बट आज जब वो आते हैं, जब बात करते हैं, प्रोफेसर सीमा बाबा मैम, पता नहीं जैसे सर डरते हैं वैसे मैं भी डरता हूँ. ये भी डरते हैं उनसे बहुत. ये सिर्फ 2 ही आदमी से डरते हैं, एक भाभी जी से डरते हैं और एक मैडम से डरते हैं, और किसी से नहीं डरते. तो गुरु हैं, गुरु से हम दोनों के संस्कार ऐसे हैं. गुरु गोविंद दाहू खड़े काके लागे पाए, बलिहारी गुरु आपने गुरु गोविंद दियो बताए. ये कभी इन्होंने बोला था. मैं पता नहीं क्या बोल रही हैं. तो डॉक्टर सीमा बाबा मैम के बारे में इतना बोलते तो मैंने सोचा मैं भी उनसे नहीं मिलूंगा, ज्यादा बात नहीं करूँ. So Indervi Cheena ma'am is there, sir is there. You identify 2 or 3 persons. पूरा दिन लग जाएगा अगर मैं इनके क्वालिटीज आपको बताऊं. बट जो भी आज जिस मकाम पे मैं हूं, जो भी थोड़ा बहुत एकेडमिशियन हूं, मुझे नहीं पता ही मुझे एकेडमिशियन मानते नहीं मानते, मेरे को नहीं पता. बट मेरे लिए तो सब कुछ ये है एकेडमिक्स, मेरे लिए तो IIT, IIMs, NITs मैंने नहीं देखा, मैंने तो इन्हीं को देखा, इन्हीं से मेरा सब कुछ शुरू होता है। चंद्रमोहन साहब से मेरी PhD का गाइड था मेरे वो, बट मैं एक एज अ शिष्य उनसे मिला, बट एज अ एलुमनाई, एज अ गुरु, एज अ गाइड, एज अ IIT, एज IIMs, मैं तो सब कुछ ये। सो सर मैं आज जो भी हूँ, मेरा परिवार, पर्सनल कैपेसिटी में पूरा दिन निकल जाएगा if I say lot of things with Dr. Maninder Singh. He always guide me, Dr. Rana, end of the day your main USP is your publication, your patent, your fund, your grants. So he is a person who guide me. So that is the one thing. He is so humble. If you give me a full day, then I will take the full day to explain with Dr. Seema Baba ma'am, Dr. Maninder Singh ji, Dr. Intervit China, Dr. Parveen Chandra, Dr. Satish Shan. You will find when my car first time punctured, at that time Parveen Chandra itself, I am not aware about how to repair the car. Parveen Chandra itself. Me and Satish Chand stayed around 1 week in the same room, the 5-apartment room in the NSIT at that time. He guided me with the Gayatri Mantra. So these are the persons who plays a very important role in my life. So that's why I invite you, why you not share your knowledge with all these 100 faculty members? At least that you change my life as a brother, as my just elder brother. Why you not change the life of around other persons? Whenever you time, all my esteemed faculty members, please interact with the Professor Maninder Singh ji, Professor Indervit China ji, and Professor Seema Baba ma'am. You will find the stalwarts in the Thapar. So that is the point number one. Next, I thank on my behalf of this entire team, my worthy colleagues, Dr. Neetu Mittal, Dr. Monica Sharma. You accept this challenge. As I earlier said, that the management point of view, in any organization, 97% populations, 97% of the persons, those who are 100% dependent on 3%. 3% staffs or faculty members work day and night. They think out of the box. And rest 97% only just time pass. You are the person in entire our MIT 11,000 faculty members, and you are the comes in a 3% where you always accept the challenge as a leadership, as a quality. And I pray to God that you still in the future you work with the full dedication, the commitment. So proud of both of you, Dr. Neetu Mittal, Dr. Monica ji.
Thank you.
Again, I, on behalf of entire MIT, there is open welcome to all my faculty members, those who are present here. Whenever your time, whenever you face that MIT is there, we are in Punjab within a very few weeks or a month. We are in entire India or across the globe. Whenever your time, please coordinate with Dr. Neetu and Dr. Monica. What type of help you need from our side, we are always help you, always whenever you need any help or any support, or whenever you find why we are not change such type of system. Definitely, yes, we will incorporate on in our education delivery. So, sir, in fact, all my faculty members, I think I received many chat on this, the chat box. Sir, you are really not a simple person. If any person who was the MIT for last 20 years, he is not, मैं कोई चापलूसी नहीं कर रहा हूँ सर, बट वो किस सबकी करता भी नहीं है, ये भी फैक्ट है. मैं बहुत से लोगों की करता नहीं हूँ सर, बट जितने हम्बल, जितने मैंने लाइफ में देखा है सर, आप जैसा कोई नहीं है. आपका अगर कोई 10% भी ले ले आपका ज्ञान तो बहुत है. जब मैंने 3 इडियट मूवी देखी थी ना सर, तो उसमें जो डायरेक्टर साहब थे दोनों हाथ से लिख रहे थे, तो मैं देख रहा था वो दोनों माउस से आप कर रहे हो काम मेरे कंप्यूटर मशीन पे. मेरे को याद आ रहा है, और मैं कुंगशु फांगशु कांगड़ू जो है नीचे बैठा हूं पलोथी मार के, वो जो बालवर था उसकी शेविंग कर रहा था, वो मैं था, और आप दोनों हाथ से ऐसे ऐसे लिख रहे थे, वो दोनों माउस आपके आ रहे थे. जब भी वो मूवी में देखता हूं वो सन माइक्रो सिस्टम रिसर्च लैब मुझे याद आती है। वो एक हाथ में आपने यहाँ माउस रखा हुआ था, एक में आपके लेफ्ट हैंड साइड में बैठा था, और आप दोनों हाथ से काम कर रहे थे। मैं मोमेंट भूलता नहीं हूँ सर, वो मोमेंट हर बार याद आते। वो मेरे लिए आप हो। वाइफ को, बच्चों को जब भी मूवी दिखाता हूँ बोलता ये डॉक्टर मनिंदर सिंह है। बोलते क्या पापा, मैंने कुछ ही प्रॉब्लम दे दो सॉल्यूशन मिल जाएगा। सो सर, ये हमारी एक एजुकेशन फर्टिनिटी की आपसे रिक्वेस्ट है। व्हेनेवर यू फाइंड एनी पर्सन लाइक मी, ग्लो देन मी, प्लीज एजुकेट देम। पता नहीं आप कितनों की जिंदगी चेंज कर दो। सो विद दिस sir, thank you and congratulations to all my faculty members. We will provide you lifetime members of our unresearched lab. We have opened, sir, 6 research lab in our department. We call UN, that is Amity University Network, about all things. So, Dr. Nitu, request to Dr. Maninder Singh, sir. I'm not request right now because otherwise he is not denied. You discuss with him as an advisor of our any research lab. So we will take his advice.
Yes, sir, definitely.
Personality. So, sir, thank you and convey my regard to your family. Convey my regard to your both of your kids, and Bhabhi ji, special regard to Bhabhi ji, and brother. There's no word for my side to you. Again, thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Professor Rana. Madam Neetu, I'll take a 1 minute to, actually it's too much. He has exploded me with so much of things. So I need to just answer back. The reason being, it's not that I'm replying back on something, because it may, so these kind of words get up here and then increase your ego. I don't want that to happen. So I am nothing here. God bless. Bhagwan apni kripa rakhe, hai na? So I just want to say a word from Kabir ji. कबीर ना हम किया ना करेंगे ना कर सके शरीर, क्या जानो किछ हर किया पयो कबीर कबीर. So I have not done anything. I shall not do anything. My body cannot do anything. I do not know what the Lord has done, but the call has gone Kabir, Kabir, Kabir. So हमारे पास नहीं है यार कुछ. We don't have this. It's a very iota of know-how, whatever scriptures and everything has. So I urge everybody whosoever is listening to this, kindly at least for in the morning for 5-10 minutes, pray to the Almighty that what has happened to this world of Corona and all, let this all go off, okay, so that we can again see each other face to face and talk much more in a friendly manner rather than this kind of system where the communication is happening remotely. Thank you very much to all Amity group. Thank you very much to Professor Rana, Dr. Neetu and Dr. Monica. Thank you.
आपने कबीर की बात बताई सर, मेरे को याद है, मैं पता नहीं कौन आदमी 4:30 बजे उसने उठ गया, नहा धो भी लिया, पूजा भी कर ली, और मैं सो रहा हूँ. कौन है ये? उस दिन भी दोहे सुनाए थे, और मैंने सर आज तक वो नियम नहीं तोड़ा सर.
Good.
लाइफ में कुछ भी कर लूंगा, बट सर पूजा नहीं छोड़ूंगा.
Great.
दूसरी बात बताई थी इन्होंने, जब लाइफ सोने जाते हो उस भगवान की जरूर हाथ जोड़ो. तो जब मैं दिन शुरू करता हूँ तो भी भगवान से करता हूँ, और जब सोने जाता हूँ तो भी भगवान के साथ जाता हूँ. तो ये इनसे सीखे हैं पॉइंट बहुत सारे. आज बता दिया सर, आज प्लेटफॉर्म था क्योंकि सारे गुरु हैं यहाँ पर, तो कुछ शेयर करने चाहिए.
Thank you.
कहा ना, बांटो शिक्षा को, ज्ञान को जितना बांट सकते हैं, हम सब गुरु हैं सेम कैपेबिलिटी पे. सो थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू वेरी मच सर.
Thank you.
Dr. Neetu, over to you, please. Dr. Monica.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Both of us.
Outcome and future scope. It is like using this ECC in IoT networks based
on. Okay. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, yes.
Achha. So thank you very much, Rana sir, and thank you very much, Maninder sir. So should we move on to the question answer round, or we can send you the question on your mail, sir?
There is only 2 questions you asked, sir.
So we can take the questions?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. So Chetan Rani asked that indirectly, sir, these points are origin of data of entire country. Can these be hacked? Are they secured?
Security is a big topic here. The reason being, these landing station, the security at a landing station, and somebody may not tap into your network is very difficult to secure. But having said that, at this point of time, definitely, if you look in from a user perspective, I have seen the people writing their passwords on a chit of a paper and securing it, or लाल डायरी रखते हैं उसमें अपने password लिखते हैं. So the whole thought process need to get changed. So security is not that I can just bring some device and put in there and it will secure my. The whole process of security starts from a human being. So human being is the weakest link in the security chain. So if our people can start whatever the guidelines are there, if they can start following those guidelines, I think we'll be able to better secure our systems. But having said that, you might have heard of Stuxnet kind of an attack. You might have heard of the worm attacks which has happened recently. So, or you can you might have seen ransomware attacks which are happening. So, following these kind of attacks is a big trouble for the whole cyber community. But if you follow the guidelines and some principles which are very trivial, so you can safeguard yourself. It's not that we cannot be able to, but still there are chances, 3 to 4% chances, even by utilizing all the secure practices, still my system can be hacked. So those are the things which are already there in the protocol sense of a network security paradigm. So as such, to directly answer your query, yes, there is a vulnerability for these kind of systems, but still we are able to survive because we are following certain very strict guidelines. That's it.
Thank you very much, sir. And the next question we have from Gagan Jot. Can software-defined networks be linked with these networks?
See, software-defined network is utilizing a particular device to do multiple tasks. For example, we are using a generalized computer system, so I can play game on my laptop. I can use my laptop for word processing. I can use my laptop for collaboration suite, as we are talking now. So we are getting multiple things to be done by one device. Now, if there is a device, I want that device to enact as a firewall. I want that device to enact as a antivirus, anti-spam kind of a system. I want that device to enact as a switch. I want to that this device should act as a router. So how that can be controlled? That can be only software programmed. So we can utilize the software defined network terminology in order to do those kind of processing. But as such, for these systems, SDN at this point of time are not realizable.
I think we are over with the question answer round. No questions so far, sir.
Okay.
And you have already shared your mail ID. If anyone have any question, then I thought they can mail you, sir.
Sure.
Okay. You have shared your mail ID also. So after these so many great words from Ajay Rana sir, what would I say? I only wish to thank you. Thank you very much, sir, for that wonderful interactive session. You have explained each and everything with so ease and with the help of daily life usable examples. Actually, we have used these devices from so many years, but today, honestly, we get to know some new features, or we can say some new details of our devices. Thank you very much, sir, for that informative session. And you have given the definitely very great information of our devices and IoT and everything. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Monica ma'am, you want to say something?
One word I want to say. We are blessed, sir.
Really?
Here on this in this session. It's really a wonderful session. We learned a lot. I hope all the faculties learned from you. Lots of things they have learned. And on a virtual platform, it's menti.com. It's really, it will work really.
Yes. Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Sir, I have only one request. We actually, BMIT wants your guidance and support in